Bhishma, the grandfather of the Kuru dynasty. We're talking about an unmatched warrior, a man whose integrity was so powerful he was literally granted the ability to choose his own time of death. His very name is a clue, a testament to the terrible vow that would come to define his entire life.
And that brings us to the central puzzle of this whole story. How on earth can a figure who is so righteous, so powerful, become one of the main reasons for the devastating Kurukshetra war? You know, the war that tore a family apart? That's the big question we're going to dig into today.
So, to really get Bhishma, you have to start with his name. Bhishma literally means one who has taken a terrible vow. His whole identity, everything he is wrapped up in this single oath: lifelong celibacy and unwavering service to the throne of Hastinapur. And this very vow, well, it becomes both his greatest strength and his most tragic downfall.
All right, so let's jump into his first fatal error. Now, it all starts from a good place, with the noblest of intentions. But what we're about to see is how this noble vow forges a rigid cage that's going to trap him right when he needs his freedom the most.
This is really the heart of the conflict. On one hand, you have his personal vow to serve the throne, no matter what, no questions asked. It's absolute, it's rigid. But on the other hand, you have this idea of dharma, the greater good, doing what's right. And that's not rigid at all. It's flexible. It's about using your judgment based on the situation. Bhishma made a choice. He prioritized his personal vow over dharma.
So what happens when the rightful heirs, the Pandavas, are being cheated and wronged by their cousin Duryodhana? Bhishma knew it was wrong. He saw the injustice happening with his own two eyes, but he felt his hands were tied. That personal promise to the throne, even a throne that was supporting total unrighteousness, it meant more to him than his moral duty to step in and stop.
And this right here is the first crucial lesson from his life. True righteousness, true dharma, isn't just about blindly following a set of rules. It's about wisdom. It's about discernment. And sometimes sticking to an old promise, no matter what, can actually make you an accomplice to injustice.
Okay, so let's move on, because this just builds to his second mistake. And this one is maybe the most unforgivable. It's not about what he did, but about what he failed to do at a moment of absolute moral crisis.
Just picture the scene for a second. We're in the royal assembly hall. The Pandavas have been tricked into gambling away their entire kingdom, their freedom, and even their shared wife, Draupadi. She gets dragged into the hall to be publicly disrobed, and she cries out to the elders, to men like Bhishma, begging them to just answer a simple question of justice.
And in that moment, what does Bhishma do? The most respected, most powerful man in the room? He says nothing. Absolutely nothing. And his silence was just deafening. It was basically a green light for the atrocity to continue, a betrayal that would echo through the ages.
So, what was his excuse? He claimed that, well, the nuances of dharma were just too complex, that his oath to the king meant he couldn't interfere. But to everyone else watching, it was just a cowardly excuse. It was the moment where the great Bhishma failed the most basic test of humanity.
And the lesson here is so important. Staying silent when you see something wrong happening isn't being neutral. It's not. It's taking the side of the oppressor. Real strength, real dharma, is having the courage to speak truth to power, especially when it's hard.
This brings us to his third and final error. After failing to stop the injustice, he now makes the choice to actually fight in the war, on the side of that very same injustice.
For 10 brutal, bloody days, Bhishma served as the supreme commander of the Kaurava army. Think about that. This man, a bastion of righteousness, was leading the unrighteous side against his own grandnephews, the Pandavas, who he knew deep down were in the right. So all of Bhishma's power, his authority, his unmatched skill, it was all put in service of adharma, the side of unrighteousness. And by lending his moral weight to a corrupt cause, he didn't just make it seem legitimate. He prolonged a devastating war, causing unimaginable destruction.
The takeaway here is profound. It doesn't matter how pure your own personal intentions are. If you lend your energy, your talent, and your power to the wrong cause, you become an instrument of its negative karma. You are responsible for what you empower.
So, after all this, how does the story of this great, tragic hero finally end? Well, it ends on a battlefield, with one of the most powerful metaphors you'll ever find in any story. When he's finally defeated in battle, Bhishma doesn't fall to the ground. He lies suspended on a bed made of the very arrows that struck him down.
This bed of arrows is a perfect physical symbol of his life. A life caught between the piercing, painful dilemmas of his personal vow on one side and his greater duty on the other.
So let's just recap those 3 core lessons from Bhishma's tragedy. 1. Rigid vows can blind us to what's truly right. 2. Silence in the face of injustice makes you complicit. And 3. You become responsible for the side you choose to empower. Ultimately, Bhishma's story is a powerful cautionary tale. It teaches us that true righteousness isn't about blindly following a rule book. It requires wisdom, it requires seeing the situation clearly, and most of all, it requires the incredible courage to act on that wisdom, even if it means breaking a vow you hold dear.
And that leaves all of us with a question to reflect on, right? We all live by principles, by vows we've made to ourselves or to others. But it's worth asking, which of them truly serve the greater good, and which of them have become cages, limiting our ability to do what we know is right?